We'll be making some history today inside of the Kansas Dynasty here on EA College Football 25 because for the first time in this series, we've got a triple header. 3 games in one. Buckle up, get comfortable because we've got a lot to go over today. The 3-0 top-ranked Jayhawks will make it to the halfway point of the season as we go through our next 3 games today against Colorado, SMU, and Utah. 2 Big 12 games, 2 ranked games, and we also get to see one of our former players in quarterback Sean Pullard, who is now the quarterback of SMU. He, of course, was recruited here with Kerry Chosen back in year number 2. Both of those guys have developed here over the last 2 seasons. Chosen obviously stuck around. Pullard, meanwhile, has gone for greener pastures. If we win all 3 games today, that could set up a possible number 1 versus number 2 matchup to kick off next episode in week 8. With TCU. These 2 teams obviously went far in the playoff last year. We lost in the semifinal to Alabama. They lost in the national championship to Alabama. That will be a really fun game, though, with a lot of playoff implications. So in the last episode, we beat Ohio State at their place. Kerry Chosen only throwing 3 incompletions. Really strong team win. The offense wasn't perfect, but they made big plays. Rajon Jones was impressive. And I thought the defense did a pretty good job with Julian Sayin, who has a chance to potentially be a first-round draft pick in next year's NFL draft as a 4-year starter now with the Buckeyes. Following our bye week, we played the rival Missouri in the border war, and we slaughtered them 49-3. The score tells you exactly what you need to know. Dominance from start to finish. Really strong game again from Kerry Chosen. Cornell Teamer really came alive after the first 2 games. I thought he was good, but not as good as I was hoping. Amani Law had his best game of the year. Elijah Parrish, the true freshman, looked good. And then the defense has really impressed me through the first 3 weeks of the year. Monu Okeji played great. Afa G, the former 5-star, has blossomed here as a sophomore. He has become one of the best players on that side of the ball. It really feels like this team is different, and people around the country are taking notice. After the Ohio State game, both Kerry Chosen and Rajon Jones were on the Heisman list. Since then, they've been rightfully taken off, I would say, replaced by an unlikely duo in Virginia. Redshirt freshman, 71 overall wide receiver Jerome Barmore is currently in first place. Barmore is not even supposed to be a starter. He's the wide receiver 4 of this team, a former 2-star recruit who has already captained his development. His numbers are obviously impressive. He's scored 8 times, but he's only averaging 60 yards a game. I don't really see how he's in first. And he might not even be a starter in a few weeks when their current wide receiver 3, Emmanuel Ross, comes back from injury. In case you recognize this name, Emmanuel Ross was actually on our team for a couple years. We got him in the transfer portal in year 1 from Syracuse. Never really got a chance with us, so he ended up going to Virginia, won a starting job, got hurt, and his replacement is now in first place for the Heisman. Nonetheless, though, it feels like our team is a very well-oiled machine. Everybody's clicking. Kerry Chosen's really starting to gain chemistry with his receivers. It took a little bit for Amani Law in particular, but he had a very strong game in the win against Missouri. And our defense looks the best it's ever been. Afa G has already passed his sack total from last year. We needed somebody to become a star on the defensive line, and it seems like it has been him, which has been very exciting to watch. We've also been getting a lot of good news off the field. I teased it in the last episode, but we landed a couple of major commitments in recruiting, specifically linebacker Tua Sagapolu, the number 1 player in the country. He's a gem as a 5-star, is the top player in the class. So I think this guy's got a chance to be an elite player right off the bat. Maybe a Jeremiah Smith impact on defense, which I do not say that lightly. He's not the only 5-star we landed, as cornerback Ramon Hector will be joining him as well. We have never gotten more than 1 5-star in a season, and we only have 3 5-stars on the roster. So it's crazy that we landed 2 within the span of about 5 seconds, and we're going to get some more as well. Both of those guys visited during the Missouri game. Obviously, they had to have gotten a lot of points with it being a blowout and us beating a rival, which is great, especially for a guy like Sagapolu, who I think is going to have a chance to be one of our best players next year. We also had Tyrone Lewis visit against Missouri. Ironic because Missouri's in second place for him. I think we won that battle by beating another one of the teams he's considering. And then Jimmy Pena, the 4th-ranked player in the nation, who's also a gem. So he's also probably going to be an elite player right off the bat. I think we've locked up his commitment as well. This week, we've got Devon Mays, Orson Boykin, Pat Ivey, and Emmett Nix visiting the campus. So that's 3 more 5-stars, along with a really good 4-star running back. So over the last 2 weeks, we will have had 6 5-stars and 2 other top 60 players visit the school. We are up, baby, in recruiting, on the field, across the board. Life is good. But we've got to keep it that way, and it's not going to be easy, given that we have the number 1 ranking next to our name, and we're doing really well on the recruiting trail. That means there's going to be a target on our back, and teams are going to try to swing for the big dogs, and now we are starting to become one of the big dogs. We'll start with Colorado. We've played them twice in this series, and both times the game ended up being really exciting. Last year, they took us to overtime. They beat Florida back in week 2. They then got blown out by Rutgers, but they've since had a bye week, which I think comes at a poor time for us, especially following a loss, because they've had 2 weeks to think about their stinker against the Scarlet Knights. So you best believe they are going to be hungry for this win, and they need all the wins they can get, because they still have Oklahoma State, they still have TCU, they still have Utah, all of whom are currently undefeated. Their in-conference schedule is not easy, so this is going to be a really big matchup for both teams. This is Colorado's first in-conference game as well. They certainly do not want to get started off on the wrong foot. Redshirt junior Clyde Nicholson ended up winning the QB battle. They've got a few really solid young players who Coach Prime has brought into the program, but they've decided to go with the veteran in Nicholson, who actually hasn't been that impressive this year. A negative touchdown to interception ratio. He's only completed 51% of his passes, 3 picks against Rutgers, 42% against Florida. He hasn't been that good so far. This is definitely not the quarterbacks we've seen in the past here, with Ryan Staub last year, who got drafted into the NFL, and obviously Shedeur Sanders back in year 1. They return running back Brandon Hood, one of the best backs in the conference, who got injured when we played against them last year. They had a loaded receiving room last year, and most of that group is gone. Guys like Draylon Miller and Omarion Miller, the latter of whom was drafted, I believe, 11th overall in the first round of the NFL draft. But they've got a good group here led by Cam McKell. They've got a lot of young guys as well, a couple of true freshmen giving them some big roles. And then their defense is really strong. One of the better defenses in the Big 12. Although both times we played against them in this series, the game ended up being really high scoring. Year 1 went back and forth down to the wire against Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. And then last year's game, of course, ended up going down to overtime. They were down by 10 at the 2-minute warning, and they ended up tying it before we were able to hold on for the win. 3rd down and 6 for Colorado. Nicholson hit on the screen, incomplete. Jeremiah Ort, an unlikely suspect in the backfield, sending pressure. As we take a look at the Kansas offense, the Colorado native, Kerry Chosen, with a pitch for the true freshman, Elijah Parrish with a juke move, weaving through defenders like a running back as he gets into the 45. Chosen grew up a die-hard Colorado fan as a kid and was heavily recruited by the Buffaloes before choosing to come here. Cornell Teamer with it to the left side with a big run as he gets it past the 30. A quick start here for Teamer, who had his best game of the year so far in the win against Missouri. And he did it in, 3 quarters? He didn't play in the 4th. Chosen up the middle. He's got Amani Law inside the 5 to around the 2. 1st and goal. Kansas looking to punch it in, take the early lead as Chosen rolls out, goes short. It's Cornell Teamer, who's into the end zone for a score. The standout junior, Cornell Teamer, with another great drive, as he's the first in the end zone for the Jayhawks, and they lead at 7-0. Not a good start here for Colorado. They knew they wanted to start on the right foot, and they certainly did not. Looks like an RPO. It's Ephraim Okechukwu. Juke move, 1st and more, nearing the 40. This Colorado team goes 3, often 4 deep at running back. He's the 3rd running back on the depth chart, but he plays a big role for them. Nicholson winds up down the field. It's caught near the 30. Trevante Trapp with a really nice grab and an incredible throw there by Nicholson, placing it perfectly into the bucket. 3rd and 7. Nicholson dances around, scrambles, runs, and he does not get it. Met by a number of Jayhawk defenders, including Quantavius Landers and Leon Ibrahim. That'll bring out the field goal unit here on 4th down and 2. Ted Robles from 36. It is up, and it barely squeaks through. A close one for the redshirt senior from Aurora, Colorado, which, of course, is maybe only a few miles away from where Kerry Chosen grew up. 3rd and 10. That one is dropped in and out of the hands of the true freshman, Hakeem Ficken, a young guy who we're really trying to get involved in the offense, but he's unable to hang on to that one. Colorado has it back. Nicholson calls for motion here on 1st down as he looks to throw it. Has a wide open man deep. It's the tight end, Dwayne Thrash. Breaks a tackle, past the 30, completely uncovered. Brandon Hood on 1st down, loses 2, though. Couple of guys there to bring him down, including Zach Stokes, one of the team captains on defense. 3rd and 6 now. Nicholson under pressure. He is hit and eventually brought down. The redshirt freshman, Josh Metz, with his first career sack, or I guess half sack in this case, because I believe Athia Kiaho was there as well. So the Kansas defense gets the stop on 3rd down, and Colorado will have to settle for a field goal once more. Ted Robles again barely made his first kick. This one to bring the game within 1, and it goes down the middle. Not a great start to this game for Colorado, but they've definitely picked it up over the last couple of minutes. The problem is they've had to settle for field goals twice now in the red zone. Kansas back with it on 2nd down. Play action. Chosen looking for the sidelines. It's hauled in by the tight end, Rasheem Diggs. We're looking to get him more involved in the offense as well. Diggs and Chosen showed a lot of good things last year when Chosen was in the game in garbage time. It seemed like those two had built a good chemistry, but it hasn't carried over yet. 7-6 through 1. Busy start for both quarterbacks. Nicholson, who's barely completed 50% of his throws this year, has looked pretty good so far for Colorado. On 1st down, Chosen under pressure on the run. He connects with Parrish inside the 10 to the 5. Good job there absorbing the hit while making the throw for the freshman, who, as I said, going into the year, I believed would lead this Kansas team in catches, and so far he's done exactly that. 2nd and goal. Chosen scrambles on the run, and he is sacked. He shouldn't have hesitated. Keep going. Brandon Davis-Swan brings him down. If that was Clyde Poole, I think that's a touchdown. 3rd and goal. Chosen with a bullet into traffic, and it's caught for a score by Amani Law. Let's play devil's advocate. If that was Clyde Poole, I don't know if he's making that throw. I think he would have tried to scramble around a little bit longer. A really good play there by Chosen, under pressure. He knew he didn't have much time to make a decision. Risky play to send it into traffic. You can tell these two are starting to get on the same page, which is scary for opposing defenses. 3rd and 6. Nicholson looks deep. Boink! Caught! Touchdown, Colorado! Are you kidding me? Trevante Trapp catches it off the tip, and we're right back within 1. Jalen Todd has probably the best hands on our defense. Not only should he have gotten the interception, but he tips it right in the air for Trapp to make the play. 14-13, under 5 to go in the half. Chosen on the run with a bullet. Parrish the juke move inside the 10. Kerry Chosen might be having his best half yet as a Kansas Jayhawk, which says something given how well he has played over the last 2 games. Parrish, meanwhile, 6 catches, 103 yards today. The true freshman is bursting onto the scene with 100 yards already. We still have 3 minutes left in the first half. 3rd and goal. Chosen steps up, tucks and runs, and he is just short. Good decision there by Chosen. Good tackle, though, by the defense as it's 4th and goal. You know we're close enough to try to punch this baby in. 4th and goal at maybe the half-yard line. Chosen hands it off. Ty Lord is in for a score. The 4th down decision pays off as the junior running back, Ty Lord, continues his impressive season, and it's 21-13. The offense seems in a rhythm. They are in sync, playing some great football right now. 3rd and 9 following the 2-minute timeout. Nicholson under pressure with a great throw for Cam McKell. Quickly wrapped up out of bounds by Landers. This one is caught by Micah Welch. Makes the first guy miss. There goes Welch. Nobody can bring him down. All the way into the end zone for a touchdown. Bust out by AP. Perfect timing. Colorado with another response on offense. The Buffaloes trading punch for punch with this Kansas team. And much like when we've played these guys in the past, it has been a shootout. Cornell Teamer to the outside. A surprise run with a minute and a half to go in the second quarter, but Teamer makes a nice play. 3rd and 7, just over a minute. Here's Chosen under pressure. That one is caught by Teamer, breaks the tackle, gets the first down. Really nice play after the catch by Cornell Teamer, keeping the chains moving. Kansas with 2 timeouts in their back pocket. That'll be notable later. Chosen on 2nd down, looking deep for the end zone. It is caught, but out of bounds. Rajon Jones head tapped the corner, but he could not get a foot in. Now a 3rd and 10. Chosen looking up the middle. That one is hauled in for a first down by the true freshman, Hakeem Ficken. That'll keep the chains moving. 2nd and 10 now, 25 seconds. Here is Chosen, connects with Amani Law inside the 10. Now the clock sits at around 14 seconds. 2nd and goal for Kansas. They'll hand it off to Cornell Teamer with room to the right. Teamer's close. He doesn't get there. Call the timeout. Why is the timeout not? There's no timeouts. Get back to the line, guys. What are we doing? Kansas butchers the clock at the end of the first half. They thought they had an extra timeout. What I think had happened was there must have been an injury timeout or something shortly after the 2-minute warning that Kansas never took account for. We assumed in that moment running the ball we still had 1 timeout. Otherwise, we obviously would have never ran the ball. But a costly blunder that in a close game like this could end up making a huge impact. That's on both the coaching and probably the quarterback. Puma Whitlock and Kerry Chosen both have to be more aware that Kansas did not have a timeout because of whatever injury would have happened shortly after the 2-minute warning. Kansas does start with the ball here in the 3rd. On 3rd down, Chosen under pressure. He's got to get rid of it. Kansas had a 2-for-1 to end the first half, start the second, and we ended up with 0 points out of it, largely because of self-inflicted wounds. Absolutely inexcusable. So Colorado gets it back, only down 1. Nicholson under pressure. He's sacked inside the 5 by Roddy Orr. Big play there for the Kansas defense. The pass defense has been rough so far. Nicholson 10 of 13, 228 and 2 scores. Kerry Chosen's been great as well. 16 of 24, 222, 2 touchdowns of his own. 3rd and 20. Nicholson goes short. It's caught by Brandon Hood. Hood has a chance for the first, and they're going to give it to him. This defense is so bad behind the sticks. I do not get it. Off of penalties, off of sacks, they cannot seem to ever take advantage of big defensive plays. Now on the read option, Nicholson gets it past the 30 near the 25. Kansas is shooting themselves in the foot right now. This is really hard to watch. Hood on 1st down goes backwards. There's a nice defensive play. Monu Okeji and Leon Ibrahim bring him down. 3rd and 11. Nicholson goes short. Hood again outruns the defense for another 1st down. I mean, you gotta bring him down earlier than that. The tackling on 3rd downs with this team is inexcusable. Now it's a 1st and goal, maybe the half-yard line. A pitch, the redshirt freshman Melvin Higdon in for a score. Bust out my AP, perfect timing, and Colorado for the first time today takes the lead. Now they'll go for 2, trying to make it a clean 7-point deficit as Hood gets the handoff, and he is smothered at the line of scrimmage by Santiago Herrera and Soma Satele. At least the defense gave us something good there at the end in what otherwise has been an awful past 10 minutes. Chosen play action, comebacker, hauled in near the 30. As that one is caught by Amani Law, 6 catches, 77 yards, and a score. Him and Elijah Parrish have both been fantastic today. Chosen up the middle, speak of the devil, it's Elijah Parrish. His 9th catch of the game to go along with 117 yards. 3rd and 4 now inside the 15. Chosen under pressure. Quick throw is caught. It's Parrish again. His 10th reception of the evening. That'll wrap up what was otherwise a rough 3rd quarter for our top-ranked Jayhawks, who could be in danger of losing that number 1 spot if we don't get it together here in the 4th. Now, the good news is we're starting inside the 5. Great chance to score, regain the lead. 2nd and goal. Nicholas Scotland Williamson lowers the shoulder, and the sophomore is in for a touchdown. The Jayhawks back ahead, and now they will look to go for 2, try to make it a field goal lead. We'll see if Kansas can be a little more successful than Colorado here on the 2. Chosen hands it off for Ty Lord, and he does not get it. So neither team converts their 2-point tries, and the lead remains at 1. Colorado gets it back. 2nd and 9 here for the Buffs. with a man in motion. It is a handoff up the middle. This is Ephraim Okechukwu with a first down nearing the 40. I told you guys, these guys go deep at running back. Okechukwu with some big plays today. Michael Welch had a long touchdown. Brandon Hood has been effective. Nicholson up the middle with a strike as it's hauled in by Trevante Trapp, who has walked into our trap and has taken over our trap in this game. He's been very good for the Buffaloes. Play action under pressure. Nicholson smothered in the backfield. Monu Okeji leads the way on the blitz. Afa-G wins his rep quickly against the left tackle. Now we're looking at a 3rd and 19. Guys, I beg, we are behind the sticks. This is our kryptonite. Short screen, caught by Cam McKell. Gets a solid gain of around 10, but we do get the stop. Javier Callaway brings him down, and Colorado will elect to punt it. So Kansas gets it back. Little over 7 minutes to go, up by 1. Cornell Teamer to the left side with plenty of room. Juke move nearing the 30. A big run for Teamer, who's nearing the century mark in yardage for his 2nd consecutive week. Following play here for Kansas. Chosen calls a switch at the line as he looks to throw it. Goes short. Rasheem Diggs with plenty of room upfield, and Diggs gets it past the 50. He may not be a traditional tight end. Obviously, he's pretty new to the position, but he's more athletic than most tight ends you'll find across the country. Certainly faster than most. Chosen on 2nd down. Wants a big play. Looking deep. Parrish comes back for the ball. 11 catches, 147 yards. For the true freshman, a really smart play to come back for it and get the first down. 3rd and 3. Chosen. I don't know what he was doing there. That was supposed to be a corner route for Rajon Jones. I don't know why Chosen threw it up the field. 4th down and 3. What will Kansas do? They will bring the field goal unit onto the field. It is a 41-yard try for Anthony Escalante. His kick is good. That'll make it 30-26. It is now a 4-point game. Colorado still with a chance to take the lead, and they've got plenty of time to do it. Their offense is slowed down, though, in the second half. Only 6 points, and so far nothing in the 4th quarter for the Buffs. On 1st down with just over 4 to go. That one is tipped and intercepted! Quantavius Landers picks it off, breaking through tackles. He gets it to the 30. The first play of the drive is the only play. Hood banged up for Colorado. An unlucky interception for the Buffs. Landers, his 2nd of the year. And the Jayhawks will get it back at the 30. 2nd and 10. Cornell Teamer up the field. Gets the first down. Jukes away from the safety. For most running backs, that's a gain of 8. Maybe 10 or 11. For Cornell Teamer, it's a gain of about 19. It's an RPO on 1st down. Nothing for Rasheem Diggs, grabbing at his lower leg. That's not a good sight. And it stops the clock, which isn't good either. 3rd and goal, broken up in the end zone. We were trying to send it high for Hakeem Thicken, our big-bodied target, but we're unsuccessful, and that'll lead to another field goal. Escalante once more. His kick is good. That one from 23. So Colorado, again, will get another chance. Down by 7. This could be their final opportunity, though, with around 2.5 to play. 1st down and 10 for the Buffs inside the 20 to start. Nicholson dances around up the middle. There's a good throw. That gets him nearly 20 yards to around the 40. Clock is continuing to move. 2nd and 5. Not too far away from the 2-minute timeout. Here's Michael Welch up the middle. 1st down past the 45. And now we have 2 minutes left to go here in the 4th. 33-26 lead for Kansas. Clyde Nicholson on 1st down up the middle again. That one is hauled in. Trevante Trapp breaking tackles inside the 30. Now a 2nd and 5. Clock is moving for the Buffs under a minute 20 as Roddy Orr soars off the edge, practically unblocked. Big play for the Kansas defense, and now it's 3rd down and 13 for Colorado, who uses a timeout off of the sack. Nicholson's got 75 seconds, looks to throw it. He's under a little more pressure, scrambles to the right, he's going to look to run, and he nearly gets the 1st down. That's a pretty solid play. Wrapped up by Monu Okeji, making it a 4th down and 3 for the Buffaloes. This clock is moving, now looking at around 40 seconds. Game on the line. Clyde Nicholson, short throw is caught. Cam McKell hangs on to it as Devin Murphy is hurt for Kansas. The Jayhawks have to use a timeout, stopping the clock for Colorado. 2nd and 5, now inside the 10. Nicholson, Welch, first down inside the 5 with 30 seconds left. Colorado hurrying back to the line. Nicholson will look to clock it. I don't think they needed to do that. I mean, you still have 30 seconds. I feel like they need as many plays as they can get. Second and goal. Nicholson, end zone, picked off! Jalen Todd, just take a knee. What are we doing? Good. Todd with the kneel down in the end zone to clinch it for the Jayhawks. As much as Clyde Nicholson had a good game today on the two biggest drives of the afternoon, interception for Todd. His third straight week with a pick. This one certainly his biggest of the year, and that will win it for the Jayhawks, 33-26. And another really fun instant classic, which is the norm when we play against this Colorado team. Best performance of Kerry Chosen's career, 326 yards, probably the most passing touchdowns we've seen in a game since year one with Jalen Daniels. Chosen was efficient in doing so, though, 26 of 39. He really got many of his top playmakers involved. Amani Law had a great game. Elijah Parrish coming out party for the true freshman. Certainly was not a perfect game, though. We shot ourselves in the foot multiple times on offense. The defense was rough at points, but when we needed to get stops, we did. Our defense only allowed 6 points in the second half. We allowed 0 points in the fourth quarter. And the two biggest drives of the game both ended with turnovers. We'll start with Chosen. As I said, he was really efficient. Completed 69%, nice, percent of his throws. Consistently looking downfield. Didn't put the ball in harm's way. Still has not thrown an interception this year. 115 yards for Teamer. Also had a touchdown through the air. 11 for 147 for Parrish, while Amani Law had 6 for 77. I said I wanted to get Rasheem Diggs and Hakeem Ficken more involved. We certainly did, although Rajon Jones did not get the ball today. Certainly tough having all of these great targets on offense. And then defensively, Roddy Orr was the star of the show. A couple of big sacks, and of course, Landers and Todd with the interceptions, while Escalante had his best game of the year. I was thoroughly impressed through 3 quarters with Clyde Nicholson. For a guy who hasn't really played well this year, I thought he had a good game and then kind of slipped up late through the air. Everybody got involved for Colorado. Trevante Trapp in particular, which includes his ridiculous tipped catch that should have not only not been a touchdown, but should have been an interception. I mean, at least Jalen Todd caught the one at the end of the game, the one that really mattered. But he really should have had 2 in this one. So Kansas goes up to 4-0. I assume we will keep our number 1 ranking at least for another week. We will talk about recruiting for the day after the second game. So we'll take a look at some interesting matchups and storylines across the country here in week number 4. There was certainly a little bit of a shakeup in the top 25 this week as we take a look at the top 25 scores. Florida loses again, dropping 1 to Oklahoma. Utah beats Arkansas 32-31. Malik Page has really turned into a good player, the former 5-star. Isaac Wilson for Utah is injured, and they got a little bit of everything from their backup, Cleland Beaker. 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Wilson has a partial MCL tear. He'll be out for the next 4 weeks, which means he will not play when we head up to Utah in 2 weeks to face off against the Utes. That's a big loss for them. They are now ranked in the top 10. Cincinnati's now ranked, 39-0 win for Oregon. Georgia with a big statement win over LSU. They are now number 4. Maryland back on track after losing 2 in a row. They beat Northwestern. Texas climbs up to number 12. They remain undefeated, beating Ole Miss. TCU puts up 40 on Iowa State. They keep the number 2 ranking. Rutgers is now ranked. So maybe that loss for Colorado was not so bad. In the Big 12, Oklahoma State continues to win. They are 5-0. They look legit. Junior quarterback Aiden Petresky's a stud. Kansas State, meanwhile, loses again, 1-3 as they drop to Baylor. As for some of the other scores across the country overall, Louisville puts up 45 on Virginia Tech. Clemson beats Stanford 40-21. Corin LaRoque and the Tigers really settling in. Cal with an upset over Miami. Notre Dame beats Illinois 44-41. The Irish now 2-3. Missouri beats Alabama. Wow! 37-31. The same Missouri team who we just beat by 46 last week. Now, it wasn't Gordon Podlesny and the Alabama offense's fault, but their defense, man, has been rough. Jalen Mbakwe wanted to come back, lead the best defense in the country, and be a first-round pick. I don't know if that's happening anymore, bud. Alabama now 1-4 on the year. And the fact that they couldn't beat the same Missouri team who we just slaughtered In Tuscaloosa, no less. I mean, that is a bad look for Alabama. Their playoff chances might be toast. They have to win out. Otherwise, it's definitely not happening. Michigan, number 4 now. They beat Minnesota. SMU beats Memphis. We'll, of course, see them next week. Pitt over Syracuse, 27-24. Fun little rivalry in the ACC. South Carolina squeaks away from Utah State. The Gamecocks are winning some ball games, though, even without Corin LaRoque, which I did not really expect. So Kansas holds on to the number 1 spot, of course. TCU and USC stay with us at number 2 and 3 in the poll. Georgia now number 4. They didn't even make a bowl game last year. I don't know if Michigan did either, but they are both in the top 5. As for the players of the week, we still have not had one yet. Warren Big Hill and Nick York. York wins it in the Big 12 along with Alex Anelli. As for the Heisman watch, Corin LaRoque passes the 2 Virginia guys, although LaRoque got injured in Clemson's win. We'll talk more about that later. But let's take a look at this matchup against SMU. The Mustangs come into this game 2-2, 1-0 in the ACC. They started the year off a little slowly. They lost to UCF. They are the only team to lose to Alabama this year. At the time, I didn't think that was a big deal, but I guess that's kind of the bad look. Since then, though, they've won 2 in a row. They beat a good Clemson team, and then they barely beat Memphis, which is not a great look. Their highest-rated player is their starting quarterback, redshirt sophomore Sean Pullard, a player who we obviously are very familiar with. We recruited him here the same season that we recruited Kerry Chosen. He played a little bit during his 2 seasons here. His rating has always been a little higher than Chosen's, but I felt like Chosen was better in-game. So far, Sean Pullard's been pretty good. The turnovers are kind of high, 5 interceptions. He's thrown at least 1 in every game compared to the 0 interceptions that Kerry Chosen has. But Pullard has 13 passing touchdowns compared to just 7 for Kerry Chosen. Pullard won the job over quarterback Walker White, who transferred in from Boise State, and with some temporary boost, Pullard's a 90 overall. Although he doesn't really play like it, only 3.3 yards per carry so far this year. He's hoping for a better game this afternoon against our squad. They have a talented young group of receivers led by Matt Farrell, who's got some ties on our side, the cousin of Clyde Poole, although to be honest, they're probably twins. Have you ever seen the 2 of them in the same room? They've got some really good young guys, including a very talented sophomore and a really highly regarded true freshman. Defensively, they've got some good players as well, specifically sophomore cornerback Joey Feliciano, who's already a team captain. Feliciano is a guy we recruited a couple of years ago. He ended up picking the Mustangs over us, and it's worked out. He's turned into a really, really good player here at SMU. So let's get this show on the road. Back at home once again for the 4th time within our first 5 games this year. Kerry Chosen leads the offense out against his good friend Sean Pullard as it's an RPO run for Cornell Teamer to the left side. First down and more for Teamer. Look at him go. 18 yards to start for Teamer, who had 115 last week. He's averaging nearly 100 yards per game on the ground this season. Chosen a screen. Amani Law breaks the tackle. Law with a first and more. 30, 25, wrapped up near the 20. I thought he was going to take that all the way. With his breakaway 99 speed, he couldn't quite get there, but a really nice play after the catch by Amani Law. Quick start for the Kansas offense inside the red zone. First and goal. Teamer, oh my goodness, what a move! Cornell Teamer into the end zone for a touchdown, and Kansas marches right down the field with an early score. Cornell Teamer going into the year, I said this is his team. We will go as far as he takes us. And so far through 4 games, that's kind of played out. I think he still is very much so the most important player on the roster. Pullard, though, looks to be getting going early as it's the tight end, Frederick Dalton, who brings SMU into the red zone. 1st and 14 now. Pullard under pressure. He is sacked off the blitz. Soma Satele brings him down. It's a loss of around 6 on the play, and that'll make it a 3rd and long for the Mustangs. Pullard looking deep, tipped in the air and incomplete as it is broken up in the secondary by the Kansas defense. That was Marco Liesel, the slot corner, who is able to deflect it away, and that'll bring out the field goal unit here for SMU. Connor Quinn, this kick from 43 is good, and that'll make it 7-3. This is the 2nd time we've played against SMU in this series. Remember back in year 1 in the playoff at their place in the first round, a game we ended up winning. Ty Lord up the middle with a first down. Good play there for the Kansas offense as that sends us through 1. Pretty slow-paced game so far. Very different than the Colorado matchup because the Buffs were in tempo pretty much the whole game going no huddle. So this feels a little more normal in terms of the pacing, but both offenses are moving slowly yet efficiently to start. 3rd and 11. Chosen making some switches at the line. He will hand it off for Cornell Teamer. They were not expecting run. Teamer up the middle to around the 25. 4 carries, 60 yards already for Cornell Teamer. 3rd and 12 up the middle. That is caught, and it will not go for a first down. A gain of 11 for Amani Law. We're hurrying right back to the line on 4th and 1, going no huddle. Trying to catch the defense off guard. Teamer to the outside, gets to first, cuts left. Teamer's in for a score. A 4th down touchdown for Cornell Teamer, and Kansas adds to the lead. It's 14-3. We're able to catch the defense by surprise, not so much with the decision to go for it, but to go no huddle. SMU back with it, a big loss, as it's Soma Satele again, wrapping up Tracy Willie. Santiago Hook gets it on 3rd and 5, and the redshirt freshman fights for extra yards, wrapped up by Landers, but not before gaining 14. SMU passed the 50. Their offense has shown some good things. I think Sean Pollard has been pretty solid thus far as he hands it off up the middle. Alonzo Granger breaks the tackle. Granger gets around 20. The redshirt junior, a very talented RB2 behind Tracy Willie, and I would argue Granger's actually been a little bit better this year. 3rd and 13. Pollard barely was even looking as he threw the ball, but it's hauled in by Matt Farrell for the first down. SMU in the red zone. 3rd and 7. Pollard looks to throw it. Goes short. It's nearly intercepted. Gotta come down with that. You can tell Marco Liesel is not happy with himself, and understandably so. He's got to make that catch. So SMU's going to have to settle for the field goal. A 24-yarder for Quinn, and it is no good. It is just to the right. And SMU, who's been in the red zone twice today, has 3 points to show for it. Both offenses have moved it well down the field. The problem is we've converted in the red zone twice. They have not. That's the big difference here. 3rd and 3. Chosen hit as he threw. Rasheem Diggs was open, but he couldn't get the ball out fast enough. Kansas has to punt it for the first time today, and SMU gets it back late in the first half. Following the 2-minute timeout, Pollard up the middle, goes short. That one is caught for the 1st and more. Breaking a tackle, nearing the 50. Really nice maneuver after the catch by Braden Johansson, the redshirt freshman. 2nd and 10. Pollard looking for the corner. That one is hauled in. Really nice grab. And way to keep the feet in. It's Matt Farrell with the first down for the Mustangs. Following play, Pollard goes short. It is caught by Frederick Dalton. Breaking tackles, and the tight end Dalton, the true sophomore, gets it for SMU. This play clock is going all the way down. SMU in no hurry as Pollard looks to throw it. He's got the other tight end, Josh Saavedra, breaks the tackle. Saavedra is in for a touchdown, and SMU brings it within 1 score. The Mustangs finally punch it in. They've had a couple of good drives, but have had to settle for field goals or missed field goals as it's 14-10. Kansas with 38 seconds. They've got all 3 timeouts. You know we're going to be cautious and protective with our timeouts here as Teamer loses a yard. We try to go for the unexpected run again. Does not work. Got to burn one of our timeouts early. 3rd down and 7 now for the Jayhawks. Chosen looks to throw it. Looking for the sideline. It is caught inbounds by Elijah Parrish for the first down. 2nd and 10. Chosen under pressure, backs up, and his pass is boink, boink, incomplete. How did Amani Law not catch it? He had 3 chances, including the last one, was right in his hands. Gotta make that play. 3rd and 10 now. Chosen steps up, scrambles, looks to run, and he gets around 5. SMU with the stop. Timeout is called by Kansas. We're going to go for it. There's 9 seconds left. I figure they're not going to have enough time if they get the stop here. Chosen, his pass is broken up, incomplete. So SMU does get the stop, then they will be able to run one more play here with around 6 seconds left. Pollard is obviously going to look for the moon. Tries to get it there. It will make it to the end zone. It's nearly caught. Oh, that was close. Brian Shembo had a chance to catch it. Our 4th down decision to go for it nearly backfired in a major way. 14-10 here at the break. Our offense started off hot but has cooled off. SMU's offense has been good. They've just got to do a better job of, finishing possessions. Chosen 12 of 19, 100 yards. He started 10 for 11, but has only completed 2 of his last 8 throws and is averaging barely 5 yards per attempt. Sean Pollard has outplayed him so far statistically, 11 of 18. He's had some misses as well, but 145 yards and a touchdown. He's been really solid. The biggest reason why we're winning currently is this guy, Cornell Teamer. 8 carries, 80 yards. That's 10 per run, and he has scored both of our touchdowns. So SMU starts back with it here in the third. Pollard hands it off for Tracy Willie, and he is going backwards to start. Marcus Ashe, the junior, throws him to the ground, forcing a loss of yardage. SMU would get a first down a couple plays later, though. They're moving it pretty well, as it's a fake. Pollard is sacked on the play with nowhere to go. Devin Murphy brings him down. Murphy's been kind of the third wheel on this defensive line after Offa-G and Roddy Orr, but Murphy's done a very good job in his role, as it's 3rd down and 12. Up the middle, tipped and incomplete. Good coverage by Jalen Todd. That's the exact start we needed defensively to the second half. A quick 3 and out, get the ball back on offense, try to get back into a rhythm. 3rd and 7, that is caught, but not for a first down. Rajon Jones gets only around 5. Jones has been a lot busier today with 4 catches so far. Tracy Willie up the field with a first down near the 35, wrapped up by Ashe and Kyrie Brower, the redshirt freshman defensive lineman, who I think has been very good as a run defender. Still raw as a pass rusher, but has been good on rushing downs. On 2nd down, Pollard is sacked again. Roddy Orr leads the way, gets a little bit of help there at the end, as he is joined late by Kyrie Brower. 3rd down, Pollard evades the sack, but is wrapped up again. Offa-G is there with the sack. He has at least half a sack in all 5 games so far, and Kansas forces the punt. The pass rush was quiet early. They're getting rolling now. Here's Parrish past the 30. 5 more catches today for Elijah Parrish. 3rd and 10 here for the Jayhawks. Chosen looks to throw it, rolls out under pressure, and he is sacked. Zach Smith, one of the captains of the defense, and that'll wrap up the third. No score change. It has been a defensive battle, 14-10. Kansas again in danger of potentially losing their top spot in the rankings. The offense is the reason why we've struggled today. Last week it was the defense who was not playing great early. SMU with good field position. Pollard is sacked again. Roddy Orr has been a game wrecker in this second half. My goodness, has he been impressive. 3rd and 15. Pollard looks to throw it under more pressure from behind. He will run for a gain of around 7 as Leon Ibrahim is there to meet him with the slide. The Mustangs are going to go for it. Not close enough to kick a field goal. I get it. It would be a 53-yarder. Their kicker missed one from like 23 earlier. Pollard surveys the field, looking for the end zone. Wide open touchdown! Frederick Dalton puts SMU ahead. That was Roddy Orr in coverage, and while he is a pretty good cover guy for an edge player, why is he not going after the quarterback on 4th down? He's one of our best pass rushers. Instead, he lines up with the tight end, and, well, that ended up being a bad idea. Kansas now down by 3. Amani Law gets it on the jet sweep here on 3rd and 1. Whoop! Juke move past the 50. Any way we can get the ball in Amani Law's hands in space, we will do. 6 catches, 77 yards last week. 6 catches, 78 yards today. Lord on 3rd and 3. He is close. Way to fight for the extra yards. 4th and inches. We're obviously not going to kick a 57-yard field goal. That would be stupid. But instead, we're going to go for it. Nicholas Scotland Williamson trucking through defenders with a big first down for the Jayhawks. And this clock is moving fast. Under 4.5 to go. Chosen on first down. Has had a quiet second half, but he's got Amani Law again inside the 10. Now over 100 yards on the afternoon. Respect the law, kids. 1st and 10, under 4 to go. Teamer with it to the right side with space. Teamer, he's in for a score. That's a hat trick, his 3rd touchdown of the game. All 3 of our touchdowns today have been scored by Cornell Teamer. Put this kid on the Heisman watch. He deserves it. one of, if not the very best running backs in the country, has certainly shown it this afternoon. A great run there by Teamer. He finds the open room. That's the exact kind of drive we needed. Couple nice plays from Chosen, fourth down conversion, big touchdown. And that's our first points of the second half as Willie loses a yard. He's wrapped up by Roddy Orr, who's had the best game of his Kansas career today. 3rd and 3, RPO for Brian Shembo, and he gets nothing. Javier Callaway brings him down, and SMU will punt the ball. They think it's too early to go for it. They trust their run defense to get a stop, and they thought correct. Teamer loses 3 on 3rd and inches. They stacked the box. We felt like we had to give Teamer the ball anyway, and SMU gets another chance to potentially win the game. Pollard picked off! Quantavius Landers with the silencer as he's wrapped up past the 45, and that will do it. The potential game-winning drive for Sean Pollard results in an interception. He is unable to win the revenge game against his former school, as it looks like Kansas will hold on to a defensive battle, a slugfest. This is not normally our style of game, but we found a way to win anyway. Late touchdown by Cornell Teamer, his 3rd of the game. The defense making plays when they needed to. Another game-sealing interception. Last week it was Jalen Todd. Today it is Quantavius Landers, his 3rd interception of the year. And the Jayhawks 5-0. Hopefully will keep their number 1 spot. I don't think it's a gimme, given that we really did not play all that well today. Certainly our worst game of the year so far. Definitely our worst game of the year offensively, and we've got a lot to work on heading up to Utah last week against a Utes team who is currently undefeated. The defense, though, they won us this game. They played really solid from start to finish. Both quarterbacks, I would say, were fine. Kerry Chosen wasn't bad, but especially down the stretch after the first 15 minutes, he wasn't that great either. We ran the ball well, though. Cornell Teamer, 15 carries, 96 yards, 3 touchdowns. Ty Lord was effective as well through the air. Amani Law played well, as did Elijah Parrish. The receivers did a bulk of the dirty work. Our top 3 receivers had 17 of the team's 18 catches. Defensively, we made a lot of plays when we needed to. Roddy Orr might have been the best player on the field. He was fantastic. Sacks for G, Murphy, Satele, and Brower as well. And then Quantavius Landers, of course, with the interception to win. Sean Pollard, I thought, was equally solid, but not great as well. Completed 65% of his throws, 236 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. He was able to get everybody involved, though. The SMU offense really didn't have a go-to guy, but instead, everybody was productive. And then their defense played really well. Again, certainly the worst offensive display this year. The only problem is they couldn't stop Cornell Teamer, which, to be fair, no team has been able to do that. So let's now go through our recruiting. This is what we did before last week's game against Colorado. We had to schedule some visits for the following week. I wasn't really sure which receiver I wanted to have come between Evan Apple and Mike Keaton, but apparently neither of them are available in week 6 for the SMU game, as both of them already have visits scheduled. So I guess our decision has been kind of made for us. So I ended up scheduling visits for Earl Northrop and Max Rome. I did not give one to Sammy Cobb because he had a competitive visit with Earl Northrop. I figured we're really not going to get that many points out of it because SMU's a lower tier opponent. And I guess I was right, considering we barely beat them, which hurts our overall visit as well. We do have some spare points. I think we're going to start to scout some of the newer players who we've added onto the board. Raekwon Payne, unfortunately, is a bust, but 3-star linebacker / athlete Josh Hawker is a gem, and I really like these ratings. He is a freak athlete. Definitely going to be a guy we prioritize. He looks like a really good player. Otherwise, nothing overly too exciting with the newer guys, although we will offer all of them scholarships. So now everyone on the board has a scholarship. From there, this is how we're going to use our points. Everybody with 5 teams or less to go, we're going to offer a lot. And everybody with 8 teams or more, we're not going to offer a lot because we don't really need to. We are in first or second place for essentially everyone here. Hoping to land some more commitments after week 5. Unfortunately, we would not. But look at all the first place we have here on this list. Every single player who has changed their recruiting status is in first. Devon Mays is down to 3. We have a big lead after a great visit against Colorado. Evan Apple's down to 3. Mike Keaton's down to 3. Pat Ivey had a good visit against Colorado, as did Emmett Nix. So we're in a good spot to land a number of these 5 stars. Hopefully we can seal the deal. Tyrone Lewis, I was hoping would commit this week. Unfortunately, he does not. We're going to keep the 50 points on him to be safe. I don't think we need the 50 for Devon Mays, though. I think he's pretty much a lock. Jimmy Pena, I don't think we need to give him these points, but I am not risking it. He is far too good. Emmett Nix, I will take the points off of because I think it is a sure thing that we will land him. In terms of visits for Week 8 against TCU, we're not going to start scheduling them yet. We're going to do that next week just to see what other players are potentially available for visits. So this is how we're going to use our points here in week number 6. A few guys should announce their commitments. I'm hoping Devon Mays will. Maybe one of the receivers. Jimmy Pena, Emmett Nix would be big. Tyrone Lewis, I thought was going to last week. He probably will this week instead. It is pretty alarming, though, how many guys are in first place on this list for us. I mean, if we search from the level of interest here, these guys we don't have anything for. A couple players were second. Everybody else we have to leave for. We're in a really good spot in recruiting right now. As we simulate week 6, we get a number of commitments. 5-star wide receiver Evan Apple is coming to Kansas. He is one of the top receivers in the nation. I think he's ranked 3rd. One of the guys ahead of him, Orson Boykins, of course, is on our board as well. Jimmy Pena, the 4th-ranked player in the nation, a 5-star gem. That is 4 5-stars in this cycle, more than we've gotten in the entire series combined. So we get 2 more huge additions to the team, but we would get some bad news. Tyrone Lewis, out of nowhere, is going to Missouri. He had a great visit with the Tigers in week 6 and will be going to Mizzou. That shocked me. I thought he was a lock to come here after a great visit in week 4 where we beat Missouri 49-3. There's no way he could have watched that game and said, yeah, I want to be on the losing side. But I guess if you want to get blown out every year in the border war, have fun at it, I guess. Really don't get that decision. That is unfortunate. Roddy Orr as well wins the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. Very well deserved. I'm going to keep Lewis on the board in case he decommits, which if he's smart, he probably will. We still have 4 5-stars, though, which is really exciting. The 10th ranked class in the nation. There were only 9 5-stars who have signed in this cycle, and we have practically half of them. And that number could continue to go up with some of the other guys who have not committed yet. Devon Mays' race is getting a little closer than I would have expected. He has a visit with Arkansas this week. Mississippi State's making some noise. I'm not going to risk it, especially after losing out on Peyton Lewis. I wanted to land a really highly ranked running back this cycle. If not Lewis, it has to be Devon Mays. As for our week 8 visits, unfortunately, Joel Loper is busy. Mike Keaton is as well, although I think his recruitment might be over. So we're going to have Carlos Brown come for week 8. We're going to have Sergio Huckabee come for week 8. Unfortunately, both of those are competitive visits, but Sammy Cobb will be a complimentary visit. Now, his commitment might be done by week 8. He might commit to Kentucky. I'm really hoping he doesn't. I just need one more week, Sammy, because I think I can sway him with a good visit in week 8. He has a double complimentary visit with the 2 guards, which is great. Otherwise, this is how we're going to use all our points. I think Devon Mays hopefully should commit this week. Linebacker Emmett Nix, the 5-star, should also commit. Maybe wide receiver Mike Keaton. We need him to commit now because otherwise Northwestern's visit could potentially change his opinion. Sammy Cobb, meanwhile, I'm hoping holds out for another week so we can get him onto campus for the game against TCU. So that brings us to week 7. We are set for a matchup with undefeated Utah on the road. The Utes are currently ranked number 6, still winning games with their backup quarterback. A lot of big games on the slate this week. Number 5, Michigan. Number 4, Oregon. You got the Red River rivalry. Texas is undefeated. Oklahoma's only lost 1 game, so we're going to have some fun matchups across the country. Texas barely beats Texas Tech, though, by just 2 points. Game that was much closer than it should have been. Kansas State loses again. They kept it competitive with number 9 Arkansas, though. Colorado loses again. They dropped to Cincinnati. The Buffs have lost 3 games in a row. Ohio State drops 1 to Maryland. The Terps have come back after a rough stretch. Northwestern's insanity run is over. They lose by 36 to a Michigan State team that looks pretty legit. Oklahoma loses to South Carolina. The Gamecocks are 4-1. What is going on in Columbia? LSU with a good win after losing last week to Florida. Oklahoma State loses to Baylor. The Linsanity run in Stillwater might be over. TCU, meanwhile, beats Florida Atlantic. So we're 1 week away from an undefeated Kansas and an undefeated TCU facing off against each other. I just need 1 more week from these 2 teams to hold on. As for some other games across the country, Notre Dame loses to UCLA. Their playoff chances might be cooked. Alabama won. Progress. Our two most reigning national champions, though, Alabama and Notre Dame, probably will not make a bowl game, which is pretty embarrassing, especially for Notre Dame considering they have such a good quarterback. San Jose State 6-0. Syracuse with a nice win over ranked Boston College. Purdue beats Penn State. Why is Penn State so pathetic in this series? They've never been good. Not once. They've never been a threat to make the playoff. They even beat Ohio State the first year. So despite almost losing to SMU, we hold on to the number 1 spot. What I have found consistently interesting about these rankings is that TCU has been at number 2 for a while, but it seems like the number 3 team always gets more first place votes than them, especially in terms of the media poll. USC, 27 first place votes to just 3 for TCU, yet TCU's ahead of them overall. So it doesn't really make sense, but that is the case, I guess. As we look at the conference standings, there's now only 3 undefeated teams left overall in the Big 12. There's us, there's Utah, who we play this week, and there's TCU, who we play against next week. So we're going to see the best of the Big 12 right here, right now. Dayo Chioma wins the Offensive Player of the Week. They beat Florida 52-7. Oh my God. They lost to us by 46, but they beat Florida by 45. That is impressive. Maybe Missouri's kind of good, which would make our win against them extremely impressive. No wonder Tyrone Lewis committed there off of that visit. Look at the Heisman watch. Hoss Haney out of nowhere has climbed into first place, his rightful first place that he really should have been at through the entirety of the season after finishing in second place last year and, well, having a great start to the year, but better late than ever. Corin LaRoque drops by virtue of not playing. He tore his labrum a couple of weeks ago. It's not going to be a very long-term injury, though. He's going to come back a lot earlier than expected, although their starting running back, Andre Rugamba, is done for most of the rest of the year, which is certainly not good news. So now that brings us to this matchup on the road, just our second road game of the year after Ohio State all the way back in week 2. As I mentioned, Utah is one of 2 unbeaten teams in the conference. They are 5-0 overall. Of course, they're undefeated in conference as well. But remember, they're going into this game with a backup quarterback. Their wins have been largely unconvincing this year. They beat UCF. They beat Wisconsin at Camp Randall by 3. I think the Arkansas win is certainly their statement victory. The Hogs are ranked in the top 10. Even though it's only a 1-point win, a road victory against the top 10 team, you'll gladly take that. And then on the road in Tallahassee, a big environment, even though Florida State does not have Luke Kromenhoek at quarterback this year, which in other words means they stink. If we look at Utah's schedule after this, it's really not too hard. So if they win this game against us today, they can really put themselves in a good spot to go into the conference championship once Isaac Wilson is back healthy. Not having Wilson, though, is a massive loss for them. The redshirt senior and younger brother of Zach Wilson is a 96 overall, the highest-rated quarterback in the entire country. His backup is redshirt junior Clayland Beaker, who's been developing here at Utah over the last few years. And as we saw in his win against Arkansas, he'll give you a little bit of everything. There's going to be some good, some bad, and some ugly. He had 4 touchdowns and 4 interceptions in the win against the Hogs. I think he's more athletic, at least as a runner, than Wilson, but obviously does not provide the same value as a passer. The name to watch in terms of the skill position room is David Washington, 99 speed, won the Offensive Player of the Week in the Big 12 this past week. And defensively, they've got some strong players as well. A good mix of veterans and younger guys here at the top. Very, very strong team. There's no secret as to why they're ranked number 6, 5-0 overall, 3-0 in conference. Their starting center is former Kansas Jayhawk Terrence Bunch, the redshirt sophomore who left us in the transfer portal this past year, returning home to Utah, where he's done a pretty good job. The Utes will get it started here with a 2nd and 10. Beaker looks to throw it up the middle. It is tipped and intercepted. Quantavius Landers catches another one off the tip. His 4th interception of the year, his 3rd in as many weeks. And Kansas forces a turnover on the 2nd play from scrimmage. Not a good start here for the backup, who's been picked off 5 times in his roughly 2.5 games he's played in. Granted, that was a little unlucky since Landers caught it off the bounce, but still not a very good throw to begin with. 3rd and 7 for the Jayhawks. Chosen, who still has not thrown a single interception this year, is sacked on the play. Couple of defenders in the backfield, including Jeff Henry and Xavier Miles. Miles a little banged up after the fact. It's too early and too far away to go for it, so we'll kick the 53-yarder. It is no good from Escalante. This is kind of the limit of his range. I figured I needed to go as high on the kicking bar as possible and just kind of hope for the best. Unfortunately, it did not work out. So Kansas does not take advantage of the turnover. Beaker hesitates and loses yardage. Kerry Folk, another Utah native, returning home. Really good play by him, not just to make the TFL, but he was ready for Beaker to either send it to the running back or keep it himself. He would have brought down whoever had the ball. 3rd and 8, Beaker up the middle. Good throw, nice catch. Nice coverage by Landers, but an even better grab by Colin Landry, the sophomore tight end. Utah past the 50. Beaker up the middle. He's got Landry again, who beats Marco Liesel up the top. And the Utes are now marching closer and closer to the end zone. It is a 3rd down and 1. The running back, Deion Coxey, gets it, and he is short. Brandon Hines brings him down, and the Utes are going to kick. This is weak. Are you kidding me? 4th and inches at the 3. You're going to go for a 19-yarder? Bryce Keating, the native of Ogden, Utah, his kick is good. And that'll make it 3-0. So the Utes do score first. Feels like, they could have gotten a little more there. As Kansas gets it back, looking for a much better drive than the first one. Up the middle, Amani Law ends up with it. We were worried about the chemistry with Chosen and Law early in the year, but over the last few weeks, he has really come on strong, averaging nearly 100 yards a game over his last 3. Short throw is caught. Here is Elijah Parrish past the 40. Nice first down for Parrish to end a rough first quarter for the Kansas offense. I mean, it felt like we barely had the ball. Utah used so much time on that first drive, but they lead it 3-0. The run game has given us nothing. Cornell Teamer has 5 carries for -3 yards. Utah's playing the run, and it is working up to this point. We'll go with Ty Lord here on 3rd and 5. I mean, at least he gets positive yardage. Only a gain of 2, though, and after the missed 53-yard field goal, I don't really want to test Escalante, even though it's shorter. 4th down conversion is successful. Parrish fumbles it, but it's recovered by Amani Law. Parrish has put a couple on the ground. Ball security's got to be better. Short throw is caught by Amani Law. Wide open space. He will walk the red carpet in for a touchdown, and Kansas takes the lead with a mic drop at the end. Amani Law with the score. That was a really nice play, but the play before, to recover the fumble and keep the drive going, probably an even more impactful play by Law. Utah keeps it. Beaker smothered on 3rd down. That was one of the play calls of all time. QB draw on 3rd and 7. Kyrie Brower brings him down. As I've been saying, I've been impressed with his run defense. Kansas gets it back. Wide open down the field is Rasheem Diggs. Nobody covers the sophomore tight end. He is inside the 5-yard line. A big play for Diggs. He gets 39 yards. Nearing the goal line on 3rd down. Scotland Williamson is in for a score. And Kansas adds to the lead with 3.5 minutes to play in the first half. Nicholas Scotland Williamson with the touchdown. That was close whether or not he was in. And the booth is going to have to look at it because Utah's throwing the challenge flag. So they clearly believe, for one thing, Nick was short, but also that they can get a stop on 4th down, making the challenge worth it. And as you can see by the replay, he's definitely short. So the challenge is successful. We're going to keep the offense out on the field, of course, here on 4th and goal at the half-yard line. Scotland Williamson is stopped! Utah makes the play. It's Xavier Miles. What a great decision to challenge the call, win the challenge, and get the stop as it's still 7-3. Up the middle, nice first down run. Good play there by Devin Thomas, the starting running back, redshirt junior. This one is hauled in. Colin Landry out of bounds to stop the clock. Utah looking to take the lead before half as Beaker sends it up the middle. Good throw and catch. The redshirt senior, Nico Wynn, to the 25. The last time they brought it down the field this far, they only were able to get a field goal, hoping for a little bit better. On 1st down, Beaker under pressure, dances around, scrambles and runs. 1st down and more inside the 10, where he is wrapped up by Quantavius Landers and Afa G. 1st and goal. Beaker, end zone, picked off! Viliami Manupuna with the interception, and Kansas forces the turnover. The redshirt junior with a big play to keep it 7-3. Great job there by Viliami Manupuna. Second career interception, and Kansas will look to potentially add to the lead late in the first half after all. Chosen on first down. Nobody's open deep. He'll go short instead for Cornell Teamer. Teamer with a big play. He gets it to the 40. Teamer only has maybe 7 or 8 rushing yards at this point, but he makes a big play there after the catch. On first down. Chosen up the middle. He's got Amani Law. Hauls it into around the 40 with 25 seconds left. Kansas hurries back to the line quickly. We can be flexible. We've still got 2 timeouts in our back pocket as it's Teamer on the surprise run. It catches Utah off guard. Teamer with the first down, and we're going to use timeout number 2 right there. Still with 1 more in our back pocket. Here is Chosen looking deep. Lord is wide open, but he didn't see the ball. I don't know if that's on Chosen or if that's on Lord. He underthrew the pass, but Lord didn't look ready. Chosen for the end zone is intercepted. The streak finally over. First interception this year thrown by Kerry Chosen. Jelani Davis, the redshirt senior, comes down with it for Utah. And that'll wrap up the first half. It's hard to blame Chosen for the interception specifically because on third down, I get looking deep in a vacuum, not a bad pass. But the play before, we could have gotten an easy touchdown. Ty Lord was wide open. Looking back, I do think it was more on Kerry Chosen. He clearly underthrew him. Lord should have been a little more ready, but it would not have been an easy catch to make since the ball was a little bit behind him as he was trying to make the catch. We've had some good drives. We're moving the ball fine, but we only have 7 points to show for it. Both teams have really struggled in the red zone today. I mean, Utah had the field goal that they were stopped on, the interception by Manupuna late. We've been stopped multiple times in the red zone as well. Both of these teams leaving too many points off the board. Chosen tries to get away from the pressure. He cannot. Oscar Aitman ate him in the back. I'm sorry, that was really corny. 3rd and 11. Chosen scrambles on the run, looking for space, tries to get the first, and he does not. He was going to put his body on the line there as well. Kansas has to punt it away. 4th and 1. Oh, it's a fake! And they were not ready. Pierre Johnson gets around 8. Wow, what a play call by head coach Puma Whitlock. Great job there by Johnson to not only sell it, but get the first down conversion. That play hopefully can be a spark for this offense that really needs it. Chosen looking deep on first down. It's caught, but out of bounds. Rajon Jones had a play like that a couple of weeks ago where he caught it in the end zone, but he can't get a foot in. On 3rd and 10, play action. Chosen on the run, up the middle. It's caught by Amani Law. Chosen has not been able to hit his throws over the last couple of drives, so to make that one is a big deal. Here is Cornell Teamer. Tries to get something here on first down, but he is stuffed. Rough day in the office for Cornell Teamer. He had 7 carries for just 23 yards in the first half. Ty Lord, though, will punch it in. Even though Teamer's struggling, the other guys are looking to get going. Yes, Lord puts Kansas ahead by multiple scores. We've had plenty of chances to add to this lead, but the 4th down stop and the interception halted us from doing so, but we do get it there, making it 14-3. Devin Thomas on 2nd and 10, breaks the tackle for Manupuna, but he still loses 5. Off the G is there to finish him off, and it is 3rd down and 15. It's been a rough one here for Clayland Beaker as he breaks off the initial hit, has a chance for the first, and he does not get it. Jalen Todd pushes him away. Kansas gets the stop. They will get it back late in the 3rd, trying to add to this lead on the road against number 6, undefeated 5-0 Utah. Chosen on first down, looking deep. It is incomplete. Okay, that one's completely on Amani Law. He was not looking for the ball. Again, it was underthrown, but he was so wide open he would have caught it anyway. Teamer on 2nd down with a big run out of bounds past the 30. That could have been an even bigger run, maybe a touchdown if Amani Law held his block. That's back-to-back plays that could have been touchdowns, but if not for Amani Law. On first down, Chosen scrambles, tries to evade the pressure. He's trying to do too much there. Brought down on the sack. Couple of guys there to bring him down. Oscar Aitman and Hunter Andrews. That'll wrap up the 3rd, 14-3. It's been another ugly defensive slugfest, much like last week. This is how Utah wants us to play, with them having a backup quarterback. we're playing their game, unfortunately, but we're beating them at their own game. 3rd down and 6 to start the 4th. Chosen calls for a switch at the line, joined by Cornell Teamer in the backfield. Chosen still calling audibles as he will look to throw it. Chosen, end zone, touchdown! Amani Law with the score. What a great play by Cornell Teamer. That play was supposed to be a run, but he saw what the defense gave him. Originally, both Amani Law and Rajon Jones were obviously supposed to block, but then the initial passing play would have had them running go routes, but it didn't really make sense given the defensive personnel, so he had Jones go for an out. He had Law go on the slant, and sure enough, Amani Law, who did not have a very good drive, gets the touchdown. There's Afa G. First sack of the game for the Kansas defense. We've been waiting to bring down Beaker in the backfield, and finally, it's Afa G, his 6th sack of the year. 3rd and 19. There's G again! Back-to-back plays. That's his 7th of the season. I think he has tied or has pretty much met Seth Jennings' career high in sacks. Seth Jennings was his 2nd-round pick. Afa G is a true sophomore. Good run there by Cornell Teamer. He's over 100 yards, which is impressive considering like the 1-minute mark in the first half. I think he had 9 yards. 3rd and 4. Ty Lord does not quite get it. Good tackle by Hunter Andrews. We're close enough to go for it, though. Let's try to end this game with around 5 minutes left. 4th and 1. We'll give it to Teamer with room to the left side. 1st down. Teamer inside the 5 to around the 3. Looking to punch it in and finish it off for good. 3rd down and goal at the 1.5-yard line. It's Teamer. He's in! Cornell Teamer with another touchdown, his 8th of the year on the ground. And Kansas likely puts a bow on this one as it's 28-3. Don't tell your Falcon fans, friends. I think we're not going to blow it, though, unlike Atlanta. We're going to start to bring in some of the backups. Beaker, speaking of backups, looks to evade the pressure. He does. He will get the 1st down. I don't know why number 2, Gio Chinasa, reacted so late. This is actually the first game Chinasa's played in all year, and I guess you could kind of tell there. 2nd and goal. Beaker is sacked. Bo Muse, the redshirt freshman linebacker, brings him down. That'll make it 3rd and goal. Beaker looks to throw it. He's under pressure, and he is brought down for a loss. Another sack. Dylan Countess brings him down. That'll make it 4th and goal, backed up at the 15. Beaker into traffic, looking for the end zone. It's broken up. I don't know why Gio Chinasa tried to make a play on the ball. Beaker threw it right at number 13, Cordell Hurley. That could have been his first career interception. The freshman had a chance to make a play on the ball, but Chinasa batted it away from his own teammate. That's how this game comes to a close. 28-3 win for Kansas. The score does not tell you how this game went. This was not like the Missouri game where we completely dominated them and won in a blowout. This was not easy. I mean, we kind of had a convincing lead for most of the 4th quarter, but before that, this game was in doubt. Offensively, Utah had some chances, but they turned it over in the red zone. They had to settle for some kicks. Their offense just did not make timely plays in the first half, and I think this game would have been a lot different if they had their starting quarterback in. They called this game like they had a backup, and Claylan Beaker played like a backup. He was not very good. Our offense definitely got better as the game went along. It still was not great. Again, I don't think Kerry Chosen had that impressive of a performance 2 weeks in a row where he's been not as good as he's been. Seems like he's kind of hit the rookie wall. Hopefully that changes for the TCU game next week. He's going to have to play really well. Otherwise, we are not going to win. Point blank, period. On the ground, though, really strong game from Cornell Teamer, who struggled early. He took a lot of hits. He had to be more of a bruising physical back, which is not usually his game, but he showed he can do it. I hope NFL teams take note of that he's not just a guy who's dominant in space, but he can win between the tackles. 585-2 for Amani Law. He ended up winning the player of the game. I thought it should have been Afa G, though. I thought he was the best player on the field. Had the 2 sacks in the 4th quarter, 4 TFLs, best game of his career. He's the best player on this defense. He is a superstar emerging. As for Utah, Claylan Beaker, at the 5-minute mark, when we took the lead 28-3, he had thrown 8 passes all game. And then he threw 7 more in garbage time. Utah did not trust him in the slightest to throw the ball. So because of that, we played the run the entire game, and it worked. They couldn't really run the ball. The starting running back, Devin Thomas, averaged 2.5 yards per carry. So Utah was not able to get anything going through the air. The pass defense was good when they were called upon. We didn't really send much pressure until the fourth, but we ended up getting 4 sacks down the stretch. Really, really solid game from the defense. I don't think they were as dominant as the Missouri win, and I think the Missouri game is more impressive just because their offense is actually pretty good. I mean, they just scored 52 points last week against Florida, for Christ's sake, whereas Utah has a pretty shaky backup quarterback. But regardless, beating a top 10 ranked team in conference by 25 points on the road, you'll never complain about it, even if this was not our prettiest or best win. We do have another weekly award. Afa G wins the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. Very well deserved. He is an absolute stud. Enjoy him while he's here because I think after his junior year, he's probably going to the league. He's certainly good enough. I think he's better than Seth Jennings was, and we just used the 40th pick in the draft on Seth Jennings in the Broncos series. So you guys know how I feel about Seth Jennings using a high pick on him. I think Afa G's better. USC loses to Purdue. Big win for the Boilermakers. Arkansas climbs up to number 4 over Cincinnati. Oklahoma State beats Texas in the Red River rivalry. Michigan State's now number 7. Florida beats a really strong LSU team on the road after losing by 45 last week to a team we beat by 46. By transitive property, does that mean we beat Florida by 91? It should, shouldn't it? Number 4, Michigan beats number 5, Oregon. The Wolverines move up to number 3 with a 4-touchdown game from C.J. Carr, outperforming sophomore quarterback Trent Meepo. Baylor back in the top 25. Colorado beats Oklahoma State. Alabama is 2-5 as they lose to number 6, North Carolina. The playoff hopes are dead for the Tide. Georgia loses to Ole Miss while TCU wins in a shootout over UCF. 49-46 with 4 scores for Hoss Haney and 5 for Kiki Ekanum. Jazir Tolbert averages 10 yards per carry with a 61-yard run. I feel like Tolbert hasn't gotten the ball that much more at TCU than he has with us, but he's been maybe the most efficient running back in the country. He's been so good for them. And with TCU winning this game, they're still number 2. Kansas State lost. TCU's still number 2. They're 7-0. And we will officially get number 1 Kansas versus number 2 TCU next week. Sean Pollard puts up nearly 50 and 5 touchdowns on Wake Forest, the same SMU offense who kind of struggled against us last week. Missouri loses to Texas A&M. The SEC does not make any sense. I don't think there's a single team in that conference with less than 2 losses. Everybody's just beating each other. South Carolina, who's been playing well, loses to Buffalo. Buffalo! The SEC might just suck. They finally have a team win the national championship, and now they have maybe one good team. North Carolina's playing really well. But otherwise, this conference is a mess. Notre Dame beat Stanford 28-7. They did not beat Stanford last year, though, after they were up 28-3 going into the fourth quarter and hilariously blew it, losing their playoff spot. So there you go. Us and TCU, number 1 and number 2. TCU is still getting less first-place votes than third-place Michigan. But the winner of this game obviously will be number 1. Michigan presumably would move up to number 2. There's only one other undefeated Power 5 team, and it's Michigan State. I'm sure they will play Michigan at some point, so I'm curious to see if those teams are still undefeated for that matchup. As for the players of the week, a familiar name offensively, a guy who we've watched for a while, DeJuan Williams, the Maryland running back, along with Juan Gunn. And then in the Big 12, Kiki Ekanum with the 5 touchdowns for UCF, joined by Afa G. Hoss Haney obviously will keep his top spot in the Heisman race. We will look to change that this week with a lot more movement. Henry Hasselbeck in 2nd. Landon Duck of Boise State is in 3rd. Are we going to get some running back love? Are we going to get Cornell Teamer on this list? I hope so. He kind of deserves it. So that brings us into Week 8. As big of a regular season as you can ask for. Number 2, 7-0 TCU. Number 1, 6-0 Kansas. Big time matchup in the Big 12 with no shortage of playoff implications. We will also play number 24 Baylor and Kansas State in the Sunflower Showdown in the next episode. So we've got some fun games, especially this one against TCU. Jazir Tolbert, Devontae Crispin, and Ben Bieria all make their return to Lawrence, Kansas. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new. Rock chalk. Peace out.